Hi, my name is Rex and I am a dead man walking, and I want to share some of my cancer story with you, my terminal cancer story, in the hope that it might be a help or encouragement to you or to someone that you love, and to let you know that you are not alone and that there is hope beyond what you can see right now. So I've been sharing my story so far. An emergency diagnosis and surgery in October 2023, and then I went through chemotherapy after that through until April 2024 for bowel cancer. And now that 6 months had gone past since the surgery, it was time for some surveillance scanning, which they would keep doing every 6 months to check on progress and to look for recurrence or spreading of the original cancer. So this 6-monthly cancer surveillance involved two things at that time for me. It involved a CT scan, an updated one, and it also involved a colonoscopy. The reason for the colonoscopy was that the initial surgery was done under emergency conditions while my stomach was about to explode, and they never got to have a good look inside my intestines. And so the goal of the colonoscopy was to give them the opportunity to find any other growths that couldn't be seen prior and that hadn't been visible on previous CT scans. So I'll talk about the colonoscopy first. Again, that was something that was completely new to me, and I looked on Google and found plenty of reasons to be afraid of things that might happen and so forth. But it was something that was necessary, and so one of the things they offer you is sedation, and I have come to the conclusion for me that sedation is always a good option. Good anesthetic, good sedation, whatever they offer, I take it, and it makes things easier for me. The type of sedation they gave me was just through an IV on my arm, and it didn't stop consciousness and it didn't stop conversation. It just made me really relaxed, and that was amazing. And apart from my initial nervousness, I actually enjoyed the colonoscopy. The surgeon who had done the initial emergency surgery on me also was the same guy who performed the colonoscopy, and he was so kind to talk me through everything. He had sort of figured me out that I love to know everything. So he talked me through everything as he did the job, which for me was really helpful, and it made me just more relaxed to know in detail what was happening. But I do realise that for some people, more information is more stress, and they would rather hear as little detail as possible, which makes them feel less stressed. But I have to say I'm so thankful for the care and the skill of the medical professionals and the way that they take the trouble to work out who they're dealing with and to make the effort to adapt to what will be the least stressful approach for them, which is what they so kindly did for me. For me, the colonoscopy was a little bit different than a standard colonoscopy because, of course, instead of going in through the rectum, through the rear end, because I have a stoma out the front of my abdominal wall, they put the camera in through there, and that was cold when they first put it in. It's metal, or a part of it is metal, and I got an initial quite cold feeling. But as soon as it was in there and warmed up, it was easy and and good. So the outcome of that colonoscopy was not as I expected. I was fully expecting that there would be some more polyps or growths or something in there. I thought, especially having a fairly large 50mm or whatever it was tumour entirely blocking my bowel initially, there must be other stuff in there. But as it happened, no, it was a very nice result, clean as anything, not even any polyps to be snared off or anything while they were in there. So that was a real blessing. And so I also had a CT scan, another one, a 6-monthly one, and so at that they didn't just look at the bowel; they looked wider afield for anywhere else that the cancer could possibly have spread, like liver, and if you've got bowel cancer, often one of the next places it spreads because of the bloodstream movement, I think, is the liver. So they looked there carefully, and they also, I haven't mentioned this before, but at the time of the initial surgery, the CT scan did show a couple of lesions in my lungs, around 10 millimeters in size or so. But this surveillance scan showed that those had resolved, they'd disappeared. And so I found that quite interesting, that you can have something that appears to be a little something or other that just quietly disappears as well in your body. So some things in life aren't to be panicked over. You have to do a lot of rolling with the punches and thinking, well, it may or may not be, and just learning over time whether things turn into something or not. So it was, I guess you would say, an all clear result, which I hadn't honestly dared hope for. I am conscious that a CT scan, I think, has less definition than an MRI scan, and it's a bit more shadowy, so it's harder to see small details in a CT scan. So there might be stuff that kind of gets past in a CT that wouldn't get through an MRI without being noticed. I felt very blessed about that result, but I was also very sober-minded about it. I really don't like ups and downs. I don't like having my hopes raised and then dashed. And I was well aware of my prognosis, that it wasn't that great, especially in light that now my rectal stump had a blowout, which of course halves your 3 to 5 year survival prospects, apparently, from what I've read. But I am okay with that, and I would rather set my expectations low, so that anything else is a blessing and something to rejoice about. One of the things I really don't like is anticipation. I guess the cruelty of being consumed with worry over what the next scans or what the next tests would show. And I was resolved to have a very low expectation, and that I just didn't want the ups and downs associated with anything. And I every time, like when I was waiting for the results of things, other people would be saying, oh, have you got the results yet? Have you got the results yet? And I much preferred just to say nothing and just wait until they came in and not even think about it. I found it easier just to put the thought out of my mind and get on with my day's stuff. I don't feel like it benefited me anything by thinking on it, beyond anything that I could action. Anyway, for now it was good news, and I just resolved to be thankful each day without expectations for tomorrow, and that's what I found good. One thing that I'm slowly learning, is that things that seem bad to me can actually be for my good, and not just for my good, but for the good of others I love as well, and people around me. And when things seem to be going badly, we tend to go places that are necessary for our growth. I recognise that now, and there are places that we don't go often when things seem to be going well. We just kind of rush on blindly and don't think about things that maybe we ought to. And particularly for me, one of the huge areas has been in these difficult times and in these uncertainties, seeking out God and drawing near to Him, by which I have got stronger, no two ways about it. And we can all do that, and we can get true peace for the future, a peace that rises above our circumstances. I'm mindful of Paul, the Apostle Paul in the Bible, who had some real health trials that were a torment to him. And he pleaded with God again and again, but he was not delivered from them because God had something better for him. And Paul said this, he said, and he has said to me, this is in 2 Corinthians 12 verse 9, God has said to me, my grace is sufficient for you. Grace is undeserved kindness. My undeserved kindness is sufficient for you. For power is perfected in weakness. So in our weakness, God's power is made known to us, and we discover the power that he does have and that he can give to us that we certainly don't have of ourselves. And he says, most gladly therefore I will rather boast about my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may dwell in me. And that's what he found, the power of Christ dwelling in him. And the assurance of God's love and God's ability, that it's no trouble to him to fix what he created in the first place, is a great comfort. He can fix things for us, but greater still is the comfort he cares for our every need, and sometimes that he will choose instead to use the circumstance for our growth and for our good. And in all of these things, we can have the peace of God which transcends all human understanding. And that's one of the amazing things about the peace of God and that promise, is that the peace that he gives us, you can't explain it. It's beyond anything that you could have through logic or reason. And I'm very thankful for it. I commit everything to God all day, every day, trusting and knowing his love for me. I give thanks for it. I give him thanks for his love for me, and for every person in this world that he's made. And there's a passage, Philippians chapter 4 says, be anxious for nothing. How can you do that? Be anxious for nothing, but in everything, and then it tells you how. By prayer and supplication. Supplication means pleading. By prayer and pleading with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all comprehension, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. It'll guard our hearts and our minds. You know, our hearts is where our affections are. Our minds are where we do our thinking. And these things will be guarded, and we need it. So in this new phase, after 6 months in April 2024, I appeared to be cancer-free, and I was focused on getting my body back closer to normal after the surgery and the chemotherapy effects. And as I started to feel more normal again, and I was able and tempted to do more physically, I received the consequences of my overconfidence, and I will share that with you next time, because that wasn't fun, and it was brought on myself by myself, but it's worthy of sharing. So in the meantime, God bless you. I hope there's something helpful in what I shared with you today. We'll catch you soon.